G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Aussie Starcraft as we bring you a continuation of this amazing Zerg vs Protoss series between our red Zerg in the bottom right hand corner, EG's Jaedong, and our blue Protoss player, AI's Patience, in the top left hand corner of Heavy Rain. So it's been an absolutely epic series thus far. For those of you who haven't seen the earlier games, they have all been uploaded on the channel, so please by all means go ahead and check those out. Games 1, but particularly Game 2 was a fantastic game. Not the longest game we've ever seen, but it was extraordinarily nice defense on Jaedong's part that eventually won it through. So certainly Patience has shown us thus far in this series he has the capacity to coordinate and execute some very tight Protoss timing attacks, and we've seen that in both Game 1 and 2. In Game 1 he managed to get the edge over Jaedong and take quite a quick lead in that game. Unfortunately for him in game number 2, Jaedong did learn from the earlier round and was able to hold, although it was quite a close fought fight. So Patience showing us that he can mix it up with players even of the caliber of Jaedong. So just some great Starcraft 2. IEM Cologne seriously has been one of the best tournaments thus far in 2014. If you don't know what all the hype's about, tune in here on Aussie Starcraft and see some of the games we relive the final day or two of the tournament. So we are going to cast the remainder of the round of 8 and then move into the semi-finals and finals. So hope you're cozy, hope you have some popcorn, because we have games 3 onwards of this series coming right up. Naturally, both of our players have taken a win, so whoever can take 2 more victories will carry through into the next round. But from what we've seen thus far, it's certainly not going to be easy for either player to accomplish that. Looks like Patience is going to duck in for a bit of a scout. You can see that Jaedong has in fact gone for his hatch first before dropping the pool in his main base. Looks like we have Cybercore on the way for Patience. A fairly standard opening from Patience. We actually haven't seen any deviation from this build thus far. As game number 3, and Patience has shown us that he does enjoy opening with the same consistency every time. And hey, when it's working, why mix it up? Jaedong, on the other hand, has shown quite a bit of diversity. We've seen hatch first, we've seen quick 3 hatches. By this point in the previous game, there's actually 3 hatches down. It looks like Jaedong may actually be intending to do that again. We have the drone dancing with the probe here. Unfortunately for the probe, the drone is only dancing because he has to. So no love at first sight between those two. Just trying to chase the probe off his dance floor. Patience going to go ahead and throw down Nexus. His Overlord Jaedong is going to see everything and give Jaedong a pretty good idea of what's going on. You can see that nothing untoward's going on. You can see that only 1 gas is down. That's always an important sign. It means there's nothing like a quick Stargate or quick DTs to worry about. Patience going to commence his wall off with a pylon there at the choke point. And Jaedong's going to go for this fairly gasless opening. So I imagine we'll see a couple of queens coming up after this, and eventually we'll see some gas go down probably between 6 and 7 minute mark, just depending on whether he needs speed to deal with whatever timing Patience attempts to execute. Have a quick sentry coming up. That sentry's going to try and catch this Overlord, though I think he will have his work cut out for him. They do move quite slowly, and the Overlord quickly making haste to escape over the cliffs. Warp gate about halfway done now, so we should start to see some deviation. The Mothership Core getting quite brave, moving all the way out across the map. Queen going to try and deal with that, but they move exceptionally slowly off creep. It's like, can't even think of a good analogy for how slow they move off creep at the moment. They're as quick as I am when they're off creep. Oh, that's a little bit harsh on myself, but never mind. Everyone has one of those days. So Queen's travelling quite slowly, but going to move over there and probably going to inject that 3rd hatchery. Have Jaedong actually drone up quite heavily. All his gas are now down at the 6 minute mark and going up to 34 harvesters, and as we can see in the production line, still plenty more on the way. Roach Warren as well coming down, so we could well see 3 base Roach Hydra timing. It's worked quite well for Jaedong in the past, and currently Roach Hydra is one of the sharper builds for for Zerg on 3 bases. So if you're gonna go much beyond that and into the later game, it does begin to lose its efficacy, particularly against things like Colossus, High Templar. Actually, we have Patience grabbing this 3rd base quite quickly now. We don't often see Protoss elect to go for this as quickly as they have. There's a good indicator from Patience that he does intend to play it out just a bit longer. But in the first game, we did actually see this form part of a feint. Patience threw down the third base and acted like he was intending to play a progressive game, but actually executed quite an aggressive timing attack and managed to catch Jaedong completely unaware. As we can see, a lot of sentries moving out with this attack, quite a bit of energy, so a lot of force fields on this. Jaedong going for a very quick burrow tech, and we do have some roaches already on the way, so we'll see if Jaedong can hold this 3rd hatchery. There's not a lot of DPS here, mainly sentries and a stalker, but potential for other stalkers to be warped in quite quickly. Jaedong actually being a pest with this little Zergling. Patience going to throw down a photon cannon there. It looks like Patience trying to get a bead on whether or not it's worth attacking. I think we'll find that Patience decides discretion is the better part of valor, and these 5 units not quite going to be able to put the pressure on that he'd like. To Evo Chambers actually going down here in the 3rd game. This is pretty interesting, given the first game there was a lot of problems for Jaedong in losing his tech buildings at his 3rd base. So Jaedong obviously showing us that he does plan to commit to this. And, well, naturally no player is going to throw away their 3rd base, but showing us that he's serious. It does plan to hold this position, and not going to be falling for the same early timing attacks that he suffered from in the previous games. Looks like Jaedong's going to try and suss out what's going on. Does see the 3rd base, can see the actually going to throw down the photon overcharge there and force the roaches away. That's not a bad thing for Jaedong. It means if he should so desire, he can actually put some pressure on the natural, and the mothership core should be too low on energy to do a whole lot about it. Roach going to be burrowing there. There's actually no observers on the field as of yet that we've seen. So yep, double checking, no observers on the field. And that's going to allow these roaches to stay quite safe here. The Zergling's actually also burrowed. Going to be making a break for it. Force field's going to trap a few of those lings, but the remainder of the roaches lings are going to get away and make a hasty retreat across the map. Actually got an infestation pit coming out. This is quite rare out of Jaedong. We haven't seen much swarm host play out of him at all, but showing us that he's going to mix it up in game 3, do something that Patience isn't expecting. And this could be quite the surprise for Patience. Hasn't got a lot of vision and hasn't been near Jaedong's base in quite some time. So be very interesting to see just how Jaedong executes this. We have 6 swarm hosts already coming out. The Phoenix is going to spot that, and that's very important. Be surprised if we don't see Patience throw down the support bay to go for Colossus. He needs either Colossus or Storm to deal with this, because this sentry push just doesn't have the DPS to chew through the locusts as well as the units that'll be here momentarily. Another 2 swarm hosts come out. Got to get the swarm host burrowed before the stalkers can DPS it down. Unfortunately, it does get caught. But the remainder of these swarm hosts are going to continue to power locusts. 3rd base taking a lot of damage here, but these Protoss units could entirely die. Quick mass recall actually just going to get out of there in the nick of time. Look at how low health that mothership core. Literally 1 health left on the mothership core. If that's not the most 11th hour mass recall, I don't know what is. If a few zealots going to go down in flames. That could have gone very poorly for Patience. If that mothership had taken 1 more damage, the remainder of that force would have been isolated and wiped out, and Patience would be in an incredibly bad position now, but managing to make it just in time, and I'm sure Jaedong very a little frustrated that he wasn't able to take it out in time. His Zealot's going to continue to try and harass the now 3rd base of Jaedong, but unfortunately for the Zealots, Jaedong has bolstered this defense with some roaches, so we're going to clean those up quite quickly. And we have Patience continuing to move out with his force. Obviously doesn't want to let Jaedong get any momentum, but got to be careful. These stalkers much quicker than the Immortals and Sentries, and separating themselves a little bit from the pack. Swarm host going to come down and send out some units. That's going to put the old kibosh on this attack here, as pushing into these locusts is just a horrible horrible idea. They'll trade very poorly. I love this move from Patience. They're going to go for the Warp Prism into the main base. And it is particularly potent given that Jaedong's relying on Swarm Host for defense. Swarm Host very inefficient at moving around, obviously very slow. And if Jaedong's not careful, Patience going to catch him totally flat-footed. Jaedong's left with the difficult decision: do I defend my lair that's almost a hive, or do I fall back and protect my third base? We have Colossus now on the way as well. Actually, there's no Spire either, I believe. We haven't seen a Spire go down from Jaedong, and these Warp-ins doing a lot of damage to the main. It didn't actually manage to take out the hive, but did do quite a bit of damage to production. We see Jaedong just throwing a massive swirl of roaches. We're up to 21 roaches, 7 swarm hosts, but now we have quite a terrifying force from Patience pushing its way towards Jaedong's fourth base, and this base already quite low on health. Nice blink micro from Patience, going to preserve most of those stalkers, only taking a little bit of damage on the shield, and now the Colossus is able to push right up into this. Roger's trying to get close enough. If only they could take out these sentries just giving so much cost efficiency to Patience force, and the Colossus just racking in kill after kill. Not even extended thermal lance hasn't even finished yet, but they're able to push just straight over the top of Jaedong's forces. These swarm hosts really have to fall back. They're getting mopped up. 4 Colossus now just doing massive damage here. Jaedong really needs to back up. Can he muster a defense here at the top of the ramp? Things starting to look just a little bit dire. Vipers have hit the field, and this is a great choice from Jaedong. No Spire means that he wasn't able to deal with them before, but the Viper's going to give him an option now that the hive's finished. He can yoink those Colossus over. Indeed, they do come straight over. The Roger's just going to focus one down. The second one going to go down as well. Third one as well. All of the Colossus have now gone down. The Stalkers trying to fight their way over the top of these swarm hosts, but the Roaches just barreling in so quickly behind them. Some reinforcing Roaches trying to pick them off. Blink to the high ground. This Stalker hit squad doing massive damage, but unfortunately for Patience, it does look like he's at a substantial supply deficit. Going to actually warp in more Stalkers in front of this. So nice move from Patience. Going to have quite the force here in Jaedong's main base. What he really needs is some sort of sentry. If he had a sentry, he could completely block off that ramp, and that would leave him with both the main base and the ability to shoot into this third base. Nice blink micros. Patience just continues to work away at it. But I just can't help but think that if Patience had warped in a sentry or two, would have just made that attack all the more potent. He could have effectively shut down the mining at the main base and the mining at the third base. So some sentries probably would have been a good investment. This poor Stalker's going to go down, and indeed he does. Crumples in a heap at the bottom of that ledge. Patience trying to decide if he can take his fourth base. He's starting to mine his way down through this natural. Probably have a couple of minutes mining left in that. Main base all but mined out. +1 upgrades just finishing up now. And +1 armor also on the way. So it looks like Jaedong's making his way around the map, just trying to clean up these proxy piles. I'm going to say Jaedong is looking to be in a great position. The swarm host is just going to be so cost effective. Every volley of units, they can wear down the Protoss force, and it's just so difficult to try and deal with them, particularly without Colossus. The 2 Colossus that Patience has sitting right here, they're going to help stem the tide of Zerg, but quite hard to stem the tide when there's only the 2 Colossus. Also going to be very vulnerable to potential abductions from these Vipers, and unfortunately the Viper, a bit busy consuming things, hasn't actually made his way back to the front line. You can see the swarm host just gradually inching their way towards this third base. You can see Jaedong already in position as the hammer and the anvil. The anvil up here just trying to distract Patience a little bit, make it an undesirable battle for him to try and take, and as soon as he commits to it, Jaedong just planning to smash through into the new base with this Zergling Roach composition. Patience going to make his way up to this, and there's exactly what Jaedong's looking for. We can see him looping around. These Locusts not doing a lot of damage just yet, almost taking out a warp gate, which is always nice. Hurting Patience production just a little bit. What Jaedong really wants is this new fourth base. This fourth base has all the minerals. It's the location that Patience desperately needs to defend. Can't really afford to lose the third base either, but fourth base even more valuable because nothing's been mined there. We can see Patience pulling his way back to try and defend this. Wants to clean up the rocks for ease of passage, and fortunately Patience continue to be very active with this warp prism. A corruptor or two would shut this down, And Jaedong's going to throw down a bit of static defense in the main so that he stops suffering from this repeated warp prism harass. But unfortunately, 4 Zealots going to unload straight on top of the Queen. Great upgrades, 3 attack, 1 armor is going to do a lot of damage in here, but we have Jae-Dong actually managing to snipe the Nexus, and that's going to signal a counter-attack for Patience as he barrels his way across the field. The Swarm hosts are stuck out of position, they're going to try and make a retreat, but we have Zealots running all over the main base, and this is coming down to another exceptionally tight game. Can Jae-Dong hold the line here as these Stalkers and Colossi barrel down? We have 3-4 Colossus making their way, and Colossus just terrifying in base race. We have Zealots continuing to make their way through the main, a few Roaches trying to clean those out as best they can. Swarm host going to be sending a volley of units, but unfortunately the Protoss can just muscle their way forward in large parts, so 4 Colossus certainly going to provide a lot of the DPS necessary to kill the Locust, but the Locust still able to do quite a lot of damage there, so these Swarm hosts quite terrifying. 3 units super effective once the base race scenario starts. Every volley of Swarm hosts going to start to turn the tide. We have 5 Archons warping in here in the front line. These could make all the difference. Massive splash damage on the Viking. Nice focus fire from the Stalkers. Actually going to take the Viper out. So that was a key tool. Jae-Dong would have really loved to have abducted a Colossus or 2. We actually have 4 Vipers coming in as reinforcements. This is crucial for Jae-Dong. If he can separate these Colossus, the remainder of this force is quite easy to take out. Well, 5 Archons is never easy, but it becomes much easier once the Colossus are no longer protecting them. So we'll see just what Jae-Dong decides to do. Actually going to pull back and fortify his 4th base with the Swarm host. I've got to say, I like that idea from Jae-Dong. I think it's the right move. He's certainly going to make it much harder for Patience to work his way through, but unfortunately for Jae-Dong, these units here just going to be able to do so much damage. His Hive about to go down as well. Got to be super careful. Jae-Dong trying to get another snipe on the 4th base, but failing that one with his units is going to be quite a blow to Jae-Dong. Jae-Dong's taken out the 3rd. If he can take out the 4th, there'll be literally nothing left. There'll be 800 minerals for Patience to harvest and nothing else. So can Jae-Dong hold out strong here? The Hive's actually gone down. That's a big blow for Jae-Dong. Going to have to rebuild his lair, and we can see that morph in here at the 4th base location. Unfortunately, the army has been recalled to defend this 4th base, and Patience is throwing everything he can in front of that. 5 Archons, 2 Colossus going to make very short work. I mean, you see these Colossus have just been absolutely doing work. 27 kills, 19 kills on the Colossus there, so just seeing some great action from these two as they practically winning the war for the Protoss all on their own. The Archons so far, they've done alright. We have an instructor there with 12 kills, so not bad at all. We're seeing very much the cost efficiency of the Protoss force. 21,000 resources lost to 28,000. We can see Storm now on the way as well. That's going to help Patience a good deal as well. Particularly because the Colossus are super vulnerable, especially with the Vipers in play. 2 Vipers with full energy, not going to take very long to pick off these Colossus. They'll only last a moment, and you've just got to be super careful with how you engage at this point. Patience still got a warp prism their way. A spawning pool actually off creep at the moment. Jae-Dong probably wants to put an Overlord next to that. Dropping a little bit of creep would really be disappointing to lose the spawning pool when you can avoid it. A few Zerglings here going to try and protect against any erstwhile warp-ins that might stray into the main base. But we do have Patience actually moving out here, so can he muster a sufficient attack? The Swarm host might actually force him back. But there is a lot of High Templar there. Jae-Dong needs to find an answer to these High Templar, and needs to find it quite quickly. Zealots going to town on the spawning pool. Nice transfuse from the Queen there. Actually going to keep alive. I like that move from Jae-Dong. We have the Protoss barreling towards the 3rd base. Can they make it through? Nice storms on top of the Locust. Going to make it very difficult. Time Warp also managing to slow those units down. Love to see Jae-Dong's Vipers doing some work here. The Colossus just racking in the kills. 22 kills, 27 kills, 22. There's almost 100 kills between the 5 of these Colossus. They're just stomping their way over the top of these Swarm hosts. Can the Swarm hosts spawn enough units to hold this off? There's actually going to be a lot of damage, but Jae-Dong, unfortunately, 4th base goes down, and Jae-Dong taps out of game number 3. So what a back and forth series we've had. We've had a win for Patience in game 1, a resounding victory for Jae-Dong in game 2, a tight back and forth game 3 where eventually patience has been able to make it work here. So just a phenomenal Game 3. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. If you did, by all means, please go ahead and share it on Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit, or whatever your social media site of choice is. We'd love to see a few more people on the channel. We have a goal to have 12 new subscribers in the next week, so we'd love to accomplish that. If you could share our videos with your friends and other StarCraft 2 fans, we'd super appreciate it. And in return, we'd love to upload a stack more great StarCraft 2 games from Cologne. So we'll be casting the remainder of this series and then moving on to the final series in the round of 8. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Aussie StarCraft. I'll catch you in the next cast.